Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the We Know Traders podcast over here on RHAP. I'm your host, the Duke of Deception, Pooya Makili, ready to talk about yet another person here on our road to the Traitors US Season 4. A big one today, and it's an honor, honestly. We're talking about a big character, a big player entering the castle, and we're talking to a big player, big character about that person as well. You will know her work from many spaces, most recently The Amazing Race, but specifically Big Brother 23. It is the one and only Hannah Chaddha joining us here today. Hannah, how are you?
Thank you for having me, Pooya. Thank you for inviting me back on RHAP. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We share a very, very similar road this season, is my feeling, because you are going to be seeing, watching, and talking about Tiffany for a whole season here. I'm going to be doing the same with Rob, and I have a feeling we're both going to be celebrating our people, but also ready to shade them or critique them if the time presents itself. So it's going to be a fun ride.
Yes. If there's one thing about the relationship that I think all of the cookout members share, we are not afraid to be shady. We're not afraid to keep real with one another. So Tiffany will get my mouthpiece, that's for sure. But I, more than anything, can't wait to cheer her on and support her. I know she's going to be great. And same with Rob.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt in my mind that they're both going to be both entertaining and great. So only time will tell which side of the roles they fall under, who are they aligned with, and all that in between.
Yeah.
But basically, with this series, we are going to be going through, as y'all know, everybody with a fine-tooth comb, give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of heads up, a little bit of review on who the people that are joining the castle are for this season, to prep you for the season. And Tiffany is someone who, despite your season of Big Brother being about 4 years ago at this point, she has got quite a few TV credits already on the way to the Traitors here.
Yes. So Tiffany was on season 23 of Big Brother, and that was a historic season for many reasons. That is the first time an alliance got together on day one and was able to make it to the end of the game completely intact. But the unique thing about said alliance is all of us within that alliance were Black. And so you may be familiar with the cookout. I almost feel like the cookout kind of transcended Big Brother and the world of competitive reality TV and made its way into pop culture. But we formed on day one. We got to the end by partnering with people outside of the alliance and sending them home one by one. And that is entirely due to Tiffany's master plan, is what we like to refer to it as. So I call her the godmother of the cookout. We would not have been able to accomplish our mission of crowning our first Black winner if not for her. And so I think she's definitely walking into the Traitors Castle with a reputation that precedes her. Then she went on to do the Challenge USA season 1 the year after in 2022. And she made it to episode 2. So she wasn't there for very long. She then went on to do the Challenge USA season 2 the year after, so in 2023, and she made it about halfway through. But what I will say is I think Tiffany shines in environments where they're heavily reliant on sociability and strategy. The challenge is not that, so don't even look at that. But I feel like the Traitors Castle is so right up her alley. I think she's going to do a great job.
Yeah, and I definitely co-sign what you said as someone who watched your season of Big Brother closely and spoke about it. Absolutely historic. It was unlike anything else I had experienced leading up to that moment. And I think the big factor that you brought up about Tiffany is the social side of things, because to me, the number one asset for the Traitors, strategy's fine. Having the mental for stuff like that is good. But if you are not socially available, socially ready to talk to any personality and make that work for you, you're already at a deficit. And Tiffany is somebody who not only do I personally see as someone who will be able to like socially bounce around the room and talk to about just about anybody, she's proven the ability to do that on 3 different shows. And what I mean by that is placement be damned. It doesn't matter whether she was on episode 2 or episode 7 boot there. just getting to mingle with that many different television personalities, made for TV personalities, big characters, I think that is a good spot to be when
Yeah,
you are now coming into a castle with 22 other people and you're about to play this game.
absolutely. I like that point that you just made, how the challenge, regardless of how she performed, again, it's a lot more physical of a show, but that could and should be looked at as good practice. And also like interacting with these larger than life personalities that have been doing reality TV for a long time, and everyone sort of comes in with their own ego and something to prove and their own persona. Like that is different than meeting 22 strangers at your job, and just having to like get through the workday. So
Mhm.
yeah, I like that point. How the challenge, Big Brother, everything is sort of preparation for this experience on the Traitors.
Yeah, because I do feel like with these shows, especially the shows where it's everyone's a returnee, it's a lot of people who have already had one or two tries on television, so they know what they're doing, they know what they're known for, they know what their soundbite is, where their camera opportunities are, and I personally feel like there is a level of organic subtlety with Tiffany. I don't see Tiffany as someone who's looking for the camera time. I think the camera time finds her. You know what I mean? So I think that authenticity is always going to be great. Now, I would have to ask you,
Mm.
Chaddha. So we have been me, myself, and the lovely Bryce Isaiah. We looked at every portrait, and he hit us with his Issa look, where we put the looks under the microscope, and he
Mm.
told us how he felt about them. We were very high on this look. What can you tell us about your feelings on this portrait of Tiffany?
I am obsessed with this portrait of Tiffany. Oh my, the smirk. I feel like the smirk just perfectly encapsulates who she is. Like she's looking into my soul. She's gleaning my strengths, my weaknesses. She's figuring out, how can I use your weaknesses against you? Like this is so her. And I love the suit. I love it. It's not a tie, it's more of like a bow, but it looks like a tie. I love the gloves. She looks large and in charge right now. I love the bold red lip because she has such a bold personality. But like the subtleness, or the subtlety, I should say, of the jacket, it's a little more muted in color. Like she is able to blend in. And the one thing that I think Tiffany has got on lock is a lot of these people come into games feeling the need to prove themselves and needing to be the loudest person in the room, the most savvy person in the room. Tiffany is so comfortable taking a back seat. And she will never be a player who is forgettable.
Mhm.
But it's not like she plays with the intention of being remembered. Like she just is remembered because she's Tiffany and she's iconic. But I think her, I guess, lack of need to be driven by ego is really, really going to help her out. I don't know if that made sense, but I love this portrait. Like it's just so her.
First of all, she nailed the color scheme for Peacock, right?
Yes.
That's the right level of green, and that is the right gold, and I think it works perfectly. It's interesting because off the portrait, I almost want to say my prediction is Traitor. I
Mm,
think, like, especially with the title The Traitors up top, this looks like a main character, right?
yeah.
Like that's the energy it's giving. So I could see that. Now I guess we can just start with that. For you, where do you think Tiffany's gonna lie? Do you think Tiffany's gonna end up being a faithful, or do you see Tiffany taking the turret as a traitor?
Yeah. Okay, just to preface, I have not asked Tiffany for any spoilers. So I have no idea what's in store for us on this
Mhm.
season. I do agree with you. I think this portrait is giving traitor. I think it would make sense to make her a traitor because you know that whoever your traitors are will probably receive the most amount of camera time. They're really going to be the ones driving the story. And so you need to have a very magnetic personality behind that role, as well
Mhm.
as someone who can play the game well and who isn't like a complete dud when it comes to strategy. And Tiffany, I think, checks off all those boxes. The only thing that would maybe make me go, I don't know, is because for the last 3 seasons, at least one original traitor has been from Big Brother, and so I don't know if
Right.
it's gonna be the season where they decide to switch it up and not have any of these gamers as traitors. So that's the only thing that makes me go, maybe maybe they're gonna hold off on, like,
Yeah.
on what is it called? Recruiting a Big Brother player as one of the originals. But I do know that Tiffany wanted to be a traitor. And if there's one thing about Tiffany, she is very convincing. She's incredible when it comes to making her case. And so if anyone can convince the producers, like, hey, make me a traitor, I'm
Yeah.
going to deliver. It's her. So I'm really hoping that she's one of our traitors.
I hope so too. I think she would be great in the role. Now, this is something that just came to my mind, and I would love to get your take on it. Because you brought up the fact that, there has been a Big Brother person in that turret every season.
Mhm.
My worry since basically season 2 has been, okay, inevitably they're going to put a cast together, and that cast is going to say, there's been a Big Brother person in the turret every season. We should get rid of them immediately. We'll probably get a traitor. Like, the invoice is going to come forward and someone's going to have to pay that price. Are you concerned as a both friend and fan of Tiffany that could come to play, especially when I feel like we just saw one of the most explosive turrets in Traitors history thus far, with Danielle Reyes versus Carolyn, and then Brittany's involved with it. That's a lot of CBS representation in that turret.
Yeah.
Are you worried that that's going to have eyes on Tiffany off rip?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable to be concerned. And I think Tiffany herself was probably concerned about that. Like, she's a smart woman. I'm sure that was in the back of her mind. But the one thing I will say is the
Mhm.
Traitors, it's sort of this, I guess, merge or conglomerate of CBS, competitive gamers, and then housewives. And
Mhm,
people
mhm.
from Vanderpump Rules and Summer House. And I just don't know how familiar those people are with some of the strategic prowess that these CBS gamers show. I know a lot of them don't watch our shows. Um, a lot of them aren't really like fully aware of like where they are and what's going on at what point. Like, you saw Dolores, for example, last season. She kind of stumbled her way into a win. Everyone else was like, it's Danielle, it's Brittany, it's Tom Sandoval. Like, what game are we playing? So, um, yes, she should be concerned, but I don't know if these Bravo people are always the
Mhm.
most aware. So I don't know. It could go either way, but like, Tiffany also has experience with acting. And she's really good about making you feel like she's in your corner.
Mhm.
So in the same way that Boston Rob made Dylan feel that way, and he was able to convince a lot of the faithfuls that he was one of them and he was a champion for them. I see Tiffany kind of fulfilling a similar niche. And also the cool thing about Tiff is she has such a youthful energy, and so I sometimes forget that we're not the same age. She can keep up with the best of us, even though she is actually old enough to be my mom. But then she can occupy like that mom role, and then she can get along with some of the housewives who are older in age, who have kids themselves, so that's more common ground. I just kind of see Tiffany being good with everyone, but not suspiciously good with everyone. I'm not too worried about her. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear and reassuring to hear, because I do think that a lot of people who are watching this, who may be privy to who Tiffany is and are fans of Tiffany, are a little concerned, given that with the Big Brother representation we've had before, that this is someone they're going to look at. But I will say something that I think works in Tiffany's favor is that Tiffany is coming in as a not winner of one of these shows,
Yep.
right? So we got how many? We got 5 people coming from the Big Brother Survivor like combination platter. The 2 people that do not have a win under the belt: Rob Cesternino, Tiffany Mitchell. The other 3 are champions of the show coming in. So I have
Exactly.
to imagine that's going to help them a little bit.
Exactly, because and again, like I said, a lot of these Bravo people are not familiar with Survivor, Big Brother, The Amazing Race. And so if Tiffany comes in and goes, "Yeah, I came in 6th place on my show," like, they probably don't know about the cookout. And so if I'm hearing that, I'm going to be like, okay, you're a tomorrow problem or a next week problem. I'm concerned about Ian, who beat Dan Giesling from season 2. I'm concerned about Natalie Anderson, who won. So I'm concerned. I'm concerned about Jam Jam, who was Carolyn's tightest ally, who won not too long ago. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think if Tiffany goes, and then I was on the challenge and I was out second, I'd be like, oh, she's not a threat whatsoever. Why is she here?
Mhm.
I think Tiffany is going to use that to her advantage.
That's a great point that I hadn't thought about, is that all the other players that are in the castle from the CBS side have at least one key ally that has played the Traitors before them. That if someone says, well, they're friends with this person, I think that can be a little bit of a panic if you're someone who hasn't done their homework, who's coming in and who is kind of learning on the fly, and you hear, wow, wait, you're telling me that Natalie knew Jeremy? They must have gotten
Mm.
a lot of tips there. Or, same thing with Jam Jam, same thing with Ian. So I think Tiffany not having that is not a bad shout. Even though I do think Tiffany is a bit of a social butterfly and very much may have gotten advice from people before embarking on the journey, for all we know. Now I do have another thing I want us to do here. I'm going to pull up the photo of the cast and we
Mhm.
can talk a little bit about how you think Tiffany could gel with people, slash who do you know that she knows, and so on, like going into the show.
Sure. And, again, I think I am a great person to do this exercise with only because I'm a Bravo super fan. I grew up watching Housewives. Some of my first words in life were probably Nini's most iconic quotes. And so I am a Bravo expert. And I tried giving Tiffany a rundown of who I suspected would be on the cast. I also watched Love Island religiously. I watched
Mhm.
Dancing with the Stars religiously, The Bachelor. So I was pretty much familiar with most of these people beforehand, and I tried to help Tiffany out to the best of my abilities.
Well, Chada, let me be the first to extend an invitation to you to join us for a recap or a feedback show when the season kicks off, because that knowledge will come in very handy. Would love
Oh
to hear more.
no, I know almost everything about a lot of these people. So
Okay, well, that's perfect. So, as someone who is friends with Tiffany, who has both worked with Tiffany and has hung out with Tiffany, who do you see Tiffany vibing with here? We don't like, tell me anything. Tell me all the names. Yeah.
okay, just looking at this right off the bat, Dorinda. I think Dorinda is from Real Housewives of New York, by the way. She joined very early on. She is this larger than life personality, a little crass, unfiltered. Tiffany is kind of the same way. They both have children. So, like I said, there's that common ground there. I think Tiffany will admire just Dorinda's lack of filter and her honesty and her comfort with herself. And I think Dorinda will be able to see a little bit of herself in Tiffany. So I see the two of them getting close. I think with Candace, that might be interesting to watch just because Candace on Real Housewives of Potomac, she is on the more guarded side. I think Candace can be a little like, this is my territory, this is my kingdom. Tiffany can sometimes be that way too. And so I don't know if they're going to clash. I think Tiffany and Portia will share some laughs together. But I don't see Portia as the most strategic. And so I think from Tiffany's perspective, it might be hard for her to want to work with Portia if she feels like Portia isn't really grasping what's happening. Um, uh, Sweet Donna Kelsey, I just don't even know what niche she's going to fill in this castle, but I'm excited to see her in action. I think Tiffany and Mon. Okay, so the thing is, Tiffany, I think she tries to find in all of the games that she's played someone who she can trust. I don't want to say unconditionally because you can't, but someone you can trust as much as you possibly can under these circumstances. On Big Brother, it was me. I think on The Challenge, it was Xavier, at least during season 1. So I am really curious as to who Tiffany is going to kind of pick up. And I sort of see that person being Ian. Both of them are from Big Brother. Ian is considerably younger than Tiffany. He's on the quieter side. I think Ian is wise enough to know that there's a lot he doesn't know. And I think Tiffany is someone who admires that humility. So I almost see Tiffany and Ian being thick as thieves. I see the CBS people banding together this season. Natalie, Tiffany, Rob, Jam Jam, and Ian. I think in seasons past, they've been a little fractured. I mean, Survivor in and of itself was fractured last season. But I think these five are smart. They're strategic. I talked about how Tiffany's not really ego driven. I don't think any of these five are. And I think they recognize that there's power in numbers and they probably shouldn't be divided because people are already going to be lumping them in together. And so you might as well just play that way and have each other's backs. I don't know how much Tiffany is going to get along with Rob, Colton, Mark. I think they just come from two very different worlds. And then oddly enough, I don't know very much about the bottom row. Yeah, I can't tell you much about them. So that is sort of my like preliminary assessment. And I have not spoken to Tiffany about any of these people. This is purely my conjecture based on what I know about her and the way that she's kind of played in the past.
Yeah, I'm with you. My prediction also is that the CBS folk are gonna work together. I think part of it is because I always assume that when you're on a new season, the season before you has the most impact on what you're doing going in. And we watched the CBS folk just take each other out and then all pay the price for it. And I think there's less of them now than there was last season. So
Yeah.
y'all need to at least kick out some of these other people before you can start looking at each other. I think also as long as they assume that, okay, one or two of us are in that turret, let me just work with them because they might save me. I think that's not a bad shot either, not a bad direction for them to go to. To speak on the bottom row, I have yet to be acquainted with four of them. I have watched material from Ron Funches. I've seen him on shows. If Tiffany and him have four conversations, all four are making it to television. It's going to be funny. Ron is so hilarious, and I think Tiffany can match his energy. So that could be a very fun duo if we end up in that position.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And then you said something that just stuck out to me about the previous season. Oh, yeah, about how they were like when you're divided, it's easy to be conquered. We saw that play out, and not a single one of them won. And in fact, it was four faithfuls who ended up winning. I think if there is one person that can speak to that, it's Tiffany. With her essentially being the leader of the cookout, I think she gets that more than anyone. The fact that you can't, like, regardless of your personal differences, you just can't let division get in the way of your alliance. So I think that's something. I think that's something that we will see influence her gameplay. I also like you and I are kind of talking about Tiffany as though she's a lock to be a traitor, but I do think it's more likely that she will be a faithful just because statistically there are more faithfuls than traitors.
Absolutely.
And I sort of see Tiffany utilizing the angel strategy that Dylan used last season. Now, I don't think Dylan used it intentionally. It just
Right.
happened to be that most of his closest allies, Danielle, Boston Rob, even Monet, were in fact traitors. But I think Tiffany is keen that works. And so I think Tiffany is smart enough to be able to suss out who the traitors are just by using probability, but also being well seasoned when it comes to these games and maybe being able to tell who's lying to you, who isn't lying to you. And a lot of these Bravo people don't have experience with that. Love Island people don't. Dancing with the Stars people don't. The Bachelor doesn't. So, yeah, I think Tiffany, if she's a faithful, will be able to figure out who the traitors are and will attach herself to them, but not in a way that's going to come back to bite her, where people may feel like, okay, if I can't get this person, I'm going to get their closest ally. So I think that's the way that she's going to play if she's a faithful.
Yeah, I think that for me, there's a couple of people I'm more so locked on for trader spots.
Mm.
So that means that even more so, there's less of a slot open for potential. But I can definitely see her being in that turret. Now, the other question I have for you is: we talked about who we think she could work well with. is there anyone on this cast that your prediction is she could clash with? Now, I don't see Tiffany as someone who's going to be in a fully blown argument at the round table by any means. But if enough people poke at you and accuse you, you're going to have to defend yourself. And so, for me, from experience, like two people can accuse me of the same thing. One of them I'll be very soft spoken with. The other just will irk me.
Yeah.
So, do you see anyone irking Tiffany? Is I guess what I'm asking.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I don't see her being besties with Candace. Again, they both have very strong personalities. Candace could be a little rigid in her thinking based on what I've seen from Real Housewives of Potomac. And I think Tiffany appreciates flexibility and adaptability because that is the name of Big Brother. Hello. And so I see those two. I don't want to say fully going at it. But I just don't see them necessarily seeing eye to eye. I also don't see Tiffany being particularly close to Rob, Colton, or Mark. Now, based on what I know about Rob, Colton, and Mark, I don't think any of them are going to call Tiffany out at the round table, thus warranting an explosive reaction from Tiffany. But I just don't see them getting along. Let's see. And then again, I don't know very much about the bottom row. So I would say those are probably the four people who I don't think Tiff will be that close to.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that I co-sign that. Although every now and then I'm looking at Rob Roush's, because also to be clear for any of you that may think, Chaddha's talking about Rob Roush from Love Island, not Rob Cesternino. But I figured it was implied anyway. But I don't know why. Part of me is like, I could see her putting Rob Roush in her pocket. Like, I could see that happening. But the problem is, I say that Rob Roush is a bit of a gaslighter, and I do not think he's pocketable. I think he's a bit of a two-face. So I don't think it's exactly as doable as maybe somebody else. But that's something interesting to keep an eye on. Yeah. Okay. So I guess like some of the other questions I have for you specifically is you mentioned you're a big fan of quite a few of these people, or you've watched their shows, you're familiar with them. Who are some of the other people you are excited with? And then you're also excited for yourself as a fan to watch Tiffany interact with. Like, it's like your world's colliding, basically.
Yes, because I am a Bravo encyclopedia. If I had a PhD in one thing, it would probably be my knowledge of the Real Housewives, Vanderpump Rules, and Summer House. I'm so excited to see if and any interaction between Dorinda, any and all interactions between Dorinda and Tiffany. I'm really excited to see Tiffany and Portia. Again, regardless of what their game relationship will be like, I think personality-wise, they'll be able to riff off of one another. I'm really excited to see Tiffany and Monet exchange. I've actually met Monet exchange one time in real life. I'm a Drag Race fan. I'm excited to see Tiffany with the other CBS people. Hello, Survivor, Big Brother. That's the best of the best gamers out there. I love Mark Ballas. And let me tell you one thing about my life's purpose. So when I was 11, Lady Gaga, okay, this is so tangential, by the way, but Lady Gaga came out with a song. It's called Judas. It recently had a resurgence on TikTok, but I've loved that song since I was 10, 11 years old. It was my dream from there on out to be on Dancing with the Stars, be partnered with Mark Ballas, pull him out of retirement essentially, and do a paso doble or a tango to Judas. And I know what my outfit is. I've choreographed the dance. I've had this choreographed for the last 14 years. And so like when I found out that Tiffany would get the chance to be on the same season as Mark Ballas, I was like, are you kidding me? I think this is my number one dream in life. That was actually kind of a big part of the reason why I went on Big Brother, because that was just like a stepping stone to me being on Dancing with the Stars eventually in the future. So yeah, those are the people that I'm really psyched to see Tiffany interact with. And then of course I'm a Love Island fan. I'm a young woman. I like looking at Rob R. But I just don't know how fruitful their conversations are going to be. Like Rob R doesn't have a ton of personality. He's just nice to look at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think that dream of doing the choreographed dance to Judas with Mark Ballas is very much going to become a reality. Like that, you are right there. Like,
I hope so.
yeah,
So no, that is literally like that's part of the reason why I went to medicine. Why I went into medicine, to be quite honest, because Big Brother, medicine, I'm thinking, okay, I can go on Married to Medicine in the future. Then I can go on Real Housewives. Then I can go on Dancing with the Stars, and I need to make it to week 5 so I can do my paso doble or my take. Like this has been a dream of mine for a while, and I can't believe Mark Ballas is on this season. I can't.
well, so let me quickly ask you then, because I haven't gotten to talk about Mark Ballas yet, and he's one of the ones I'm not familiar with. Um, do you think he's going to bring, like, what do you think he brings to the table? Like, do you think he's going to be strategic? Do you think he's like a personality guy? Like, what is the vibe on him?
I actually think that Mark is going to be our dark horse of the season.
Ooh.
Just based on his portrait, to me,
Hmm.
he is kind of giving traitor. Is that what you think too?
He's got like, I think the combination of the hair and the pose, it's like he looks like a wrestler that would be playing the villain role. You know what I mean? Which then Trader does translate to that.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Mark on our screens. I think Mark is going to be a big personality who drives the narrative of this season. Mark on Dancing with the Stars, I mean, he's super, super talented. His parents own like this huge dance studio. A lot of the pros on Dancing with the Stars trained under Mark's mom, Shirley Ballas. Like this, listen, I am a fan. He's so sick. He's obviously athletic. He is on the smaller side, and so I think just like stature wise, he's unassuming, despite being a professional athlete. He's creative as well because he's a choreographer, he's a dancer, he's musically inclined. So he has all of these strengths. He has been on Dancing with the Stars for a really long time now. And so he's gotten the chance to interact with so many celebrities over the years. Again, great practice for walking into an environment like this. I think he's probably done the most seasons of reality TV out of any of these people just by virtue of being on Dancing with the Stars for so long.
Right.
He's young, so I think he'll get along with the young men. But some of the older people might see him as like a son, um, like a pseudo son. I think if he's a traitor, um, he'll do very well because of how unassuming he is. If he's a faithful, he might be our new pilot Pete. He might be our new Dylan. I just see him going very, very far. Dare I say, maybe even being one of our winners. But I think he's a sleeper pick. Mark my words. And Pooya, I'm rarely, if ever, wrong when it comes to my predictions. Out of the last like 6 seasons of BB Can and BBUS, I've gotten my prediction right 5 out of 6 times just based on first impressions, even before watching the first episode. So
All right. So I see that's a big claim to put down here. Okay. So then if Mark Ballas does successfully, you know what I'm going to do? First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring you on the show if he's the winner, you're on that finale pod with me because we will have to study what in the world just happened and how you saw this happen before anything. Amazing. All right. Chad, I got 2 more questions for you before we wrap things up here. I want to decide which one I want to go with first. Okay. I decided which one. All right. So, you just very recently had a stint on The Amazing Race with your sibling, a very fun watch. I do recommend if y'all haven't watched The Amazing Race this season, do yourself a favor, do so. So let's do a fun exercise. Tiffany has to go on The Amazing Race with somebody on this cast. Who are you designating for her? And mind you, factor in vibes, factor in fun, and then factor in you want her to win the whole thing. Like those are the things you're looking for. But who is your match, your perfect match? And I almost want to say you can't pick Mark because that'll be too easy.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
remember, as I said, I don't know if I see Tiffany and Mark being that close or having that much
Fair.
chemistry.
Mhm.
Okay, it would have to be a man, because I think what we have learned is the Amazing Race can be quite inequitable for all women teams, and that's really unfortunate.
Mhm.
So Let's see. I know Johnny Weir is a professional or an Olympic, I should say, figure skater. So he's athletic, but he's also, an artist. He's creative. But personality wise, I don't know enough about him to really gauge whether they would have that much chemistry. Let me circle back to Ian. I think I'm gonna have to go with Ian. I think when you look at the people who Tiffany has kind of had in her back pocket over the years, you look at myself, Claire DX. I kind of see Ian falling into that, and maybe I'm just giving myself way too much credit, but I kind of see Ian occupying the same role, and so I think they would do really well together. They have an understanding of these games. He's a man. He proved in season 14 that he was able to win when he needed to. And I do see them gelling well. And I think because their personalities are so drastically different, the dynamic between them should be funny, just like entertaining as a viewer. So I'm going to have to go with Ian, Tiffany and Ian.
And they've got the perfect portmanteau, Tiffany and easy. Easy rolls off the tongue.
Ian.
Mhm.
That sounds like an Armenian last name, but yeah.
Okay, so then my other question for you was actually it's a two-parter, so don't mind me. Would you ever want to go on the Traitors?
Oh my gosh. Yes, because that's one step closer to me going on Dancing with the Stars. No, I'm just
Everything's a stepping stone to Dancing with the Stars, always.
everything in my life is actually a stepping stone to getting to week 5. I don't need to you can eliminate me after I do my paso doble, but I have to do like it's been choreographed for almost 2 decades now. No, I would absolutely go on The Traitors in a heartbeat. I think on Big Brother, I had obviously just turned 21, so I was very young. But you saw that I think I'm a bit more of a strategic and social player than a competitor. On The Amazing Race, I can be competitive, but I'm not dominant by any means in those competitions. So I think in a game like this, where it entirely boils down to your ability to be social and diminish your threat level and be strategic, like that is an environment where I think I would shine, especially now that I'm older.
Mhm.
So I think I would be, dare I say, kind of a little good at this game. And I think I would have a lot of fun. And Taryn and I were talking about the fact that I used to host these like big elaborate game nights back when I lived in LA, and they were very Traitors esque before the Traitors had even like been conceptualized or at least made it to our screens. So yeah, I think I would be perfect, and you guys would get to see some like fashion, some looks from me. So yeah, I would do Traitors in faster than you could get through the ABCs. I would take a break from med school to go film Traitors for sure.
Well, let me be the first of many to say I would love to see that. Okay. Now, final question.
Mhm.
Can you give me 3 names of 3 Big Brother players you would like to see on the Traitors at some point in the future?
Excluding myself.
You are already on the show. We've decided.
Oh,
That's already happened. Yeah.
thank
These
you.
are 3 people future seasons sprinkled around at any point.
Okay, can I give you 3 Big Brother players, but can I also give you like 3 other people that I would just like to see?
Oh,
Like
please give me
celebrities?
6. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Amazing. So, in terms of 3 Big Brother players, I have been saying this for a while. I would really like to see Derek X come back to TV. It's been a while since his season of The Amazing Race, I think 3 years ago at this point. Um,
Mhm.
and I think he would be like our Dylan. He would be America's sweetheart. But I also think it would be a challenge if they made him a traitor and, you know,
Ooh.
him kind of navigate that. So I would like to see Derek X. I would really like to see Josh Martinez by sheer virtue that he has such an explosive, dramatic, entertaining personality. And I just love anytime he shows up on my screen. So Josh Martinez, Derek X. I'm going to have to give you a women We've already had Danielle, we've had Janelle, we've had Brittany Haynes. We're about to have Tiffany. I think Chelsea would be great on Traitors. Chelsea, in my opinion, has played one of the most well-rounded, best winning games of all time on Big Brother. But I also want to pull from like an older player because I've given you kind of new school players.
Mhm.
Let's see. June Song. Shout out June.
A
Uh,
great pick from the old era, for sure.
yes. So maybe I'd have to go with June or no, wait, no. I'm gonna have to revise that. And I know she's kind of new school, but Davon. I'm sorry, Davon. Oh, but then there's Enzo. I'm giving Enzo an honorable mention just because he's and put some respect on Enzo's name because besides the Amazing Race season 38, Enzo has never not made it to the finale of a show because he's that social.
Mhm.
And then last but not least, Paul. I would really like to see Paul on the Traitors. So, okay, I just gave you a ton of names. Sorry, guys. Derek X, Josh, Paul, Davon, June, Enzo. And then I'm gonna have to add two more names. I'm sorry, Pooya.
That's fake. Give me the roster. I'm cool with it.
There's West Wilson from Summer House. He joined Summer House in season 8. So he's only been on 2 seasons. They just wrapped filming season 10. So we're about to see him next summer too. Very likable, very witty. And I think the thing about witty people is they're intelligent, regardless of like what job they have. Who cares if they're a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a clown, an actor? Like witty people, they're quick. And so I think he'd have the ability to pick up the game well. And Sheena, because Sheena from Vanderpump Rules is my girl, and I'd really like to see her play. So that is my list.
It's a great. First of all, a lot of names on that list.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that should just remind everybody that the Traitors is still such a show in its infancy, but there are, because of the formatting, because of the way they cast it, there is an infinite pool of great picks that could still be there. Like we are not, and I say this with respect to a show I used to cover, Masked Singer. I feel like Masked Singer decided to double down and do 2 seasons a year, and we ran out of celebrities so quickly to do
Yeah.
singing. This is a show where anybody can get put on, a little personality, a little heat, or just even a little bit of strategic or a little bit of social, and you've got yourself a fun cast. And I think I could picture everybody you named in there. I will say, I think the Paul shout is great because we're about to see them on House of Villains.
Yes.
And as long as that goes decently, I feel like that puts Paul back on radars. And I think we could see them back on our TV in the Traitors. So that's possible. I'm quite surprised Davon hasn't gotten the nod yet, like you mentioned, because Davon is from Big Brother, but also very much has become a part of the challenge lore as well.
Yeah.
So that's crossover appeal there. DX is another great shout. Again, multiple shows, Amazing Race, Big Brother, The Challenge USA. So I think these are great picks. I can't think of anywhere. But I don't know about that one. They can keep that one. I think these are all great nods.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm gonna have to throw an app. No, wait. I'm sorry. I have 2 more picks. I'm so sorry. 3 more
One.
picks.
3 more. All right. Listen, maybe next season in the off season we'll do a Chaddha casts the Traitors, and we'll get you to cast your dream season.
I just have to say, Ashley, because she just won Big Brother.
Of course.
And I know she wants to do Traitors, and hey, that's my friend. So I'm gonna add my friend to the list. Big D and Tucker. I need to see them on Traitors. I can't believe I forgot about them to begin with because Big D played Mafia on RHAP and he was so good. I tuned in for him when he was eliminated and he was like, just tell me so I can eat my cheeseburger. I died. I died. And why was he kind of eating? He guessed who all of like he clocked every single mafia member. So justice for Big D. I need to see him back on my TV screen. And Tucker is obviously like he's a balls to the wall type player. He's super funny. You never know what's going to come out of his mouth and what he's going to do next. So, yeah, I want those.
I feel like Big D has been ready for a moment back, and to me, Big D is somebody who I would have never thought about until then we watch him in the Mafia game. And I was like, Yo, could you picture Big D at the round table getting accused? Like, that is amazing. Like, I'm very down to see that go down.
Yes. Oh my God. Too funny. But yeah, that is my dream cast. And I think I should actually just start working in casting.
All right. I thought of one final. You named a lot of people.
Okay.
Okay. I noticed Simone was not on that list.
Wait, like my sister?
Yes.
Oh, wait. Okay. So my sister would really like to do the Traitors.
Mhm.
However, um, my sister is so, so sweet and pure. And I know these social strategy games can mess with you a little. I had no problems bringing her onto The Amazing Race because The Amazing Race is such a family-friendly type show. It's focused on the relationship between you and your partner, and
Mhm.
it's clean competition. I would just be worried that like the deception would maybe rattle her a little too much. And so I don't know if I would co-sign, but she is also an adult. And if she wants to do it, I will support her no matter what. And I think everyone would love her. Hello, she's Simone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think that, you know, I talk about some people, like, I love Big Brother. I will always watch Big Brother. It's gonna always be one of my favorites. I will never co-sign any of my loved ones going on the show. Like,
Well,
on a personal. So that was, I respect that, to be like, listen, I love this show. I love casting it, but like, I don't want her to have to deal with hardship after the fact is a very great answer.
I spent probably like a week and a half trying to convince Ashley not to do Big Brother. I'm so happy she didn't listen to me. So happy. I've never been
Yeah.
so happy to be wrong in my life, but I was begging, pleading, because statistically speaking, like the chances of you winning are very slim, less than 6%.
Right.
And so I was like, this is probably not going to be the outcome that you want it to be. And I just don't think that the cons outweigh the pros for you. So I tried convincing her. I'm glad she didn't listen to me and said, Hannah, you know nothing. And I
It
said,
worked out. The 6% worked out in
yeah,
the right way there.
yes, 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 yes. But
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
Mhm. Well, Chad, this has been an absolute delight. I feel like we could keep talking and just hanging out for like another 30 minutes here, but we'll wrap it up. Let the people know where they can find you, if you have other projects going on, and everything in between there.
Sure. So on Instagram, it's just my first and last name at Hannah Chaddha. On Twitter, I am at Hannah_Chaddha, and you can definitely I'm very free flow of consciousness on there. I will publicize my opinions for everyone to see, and that will not stop with the Traitors season 4. So you can definitely look forward to reading my commentary there. And then on TikTok, I just post dance videos, and I'm at Hannah_Chaddha. And yeah, in the meantime, I'm just in medical school. I hope you guys enjoyed season 38 of The Amazing Race, because I can imagine by the time this airs, our season will be over. It was a blast to get to come back to your screens after 4 years, and this time to do it with my little sister, who's my best friend. So yeah, that's me. Thank you for having me on, Pooya. I appreciate it.
Of course, the pleasure was all mine. And like I said, you have an open invitation for any week that you want to come on and talk Traitors with me.
Yeah.
Would love to have you on and pick your brain more on some of the stuff that goes on in the season. Of course, y'all can find me on all social platforms at Pooyaism, twitch.tv/Pooya. That's where I am when I'm not podcasting. I cover 90 Day Fiance on this network in addition to any Traitors coverage. And I talk with my wife weekly, Liana Boris, over on the Pooya and Liana line. So make sure you check that out. And during this week, during this season, rather, I will be doing watch parties over on Twitch. So if you want to watch the episodes with me, come through. We'll have a good time. You'll get raw reactions to everything because I'm going to be covering a show that features my co-host on The Traitors / my boss / my friend. And it's going to be a weird experience. So make sure you pull up for that. It's going to be a fun season. January 8th is the premiere. So mark that on your calendars. We're kicking off with 3 episodes night 1 of the season, and then 2 episodes week 2. So 5 episodes within 2 weeks, a lot to process, a lot to feel, but make sure you're at the forefront ready to go for when that drops. All right, y'all, take care. We'll be back tomorrow with a new person to talk about, but until then, take care. Have a good one.
Well, and remember, if Mark Ballas wins, obviously I want Tiffany to win. I want Rob to do well. But like if Mark Ballas wins, I get to come on the finale.
Exactly.
Or the finale episode. So
yes. And be on the lookout on Chaddha's TikTok for that dance with Mark Ballas, because that's going to happen at the very least. We're manifesting.
I hope so.
All right. Take care, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.